Hello, everyone. Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching. I have another Monday quarterback video for you. I'm going to play the entirety of this video, and then I'll talk about things going on in the video and talk about things that I think that were done right and or done wrong. Without further ado, here we go.
The information, audio, and visuals you're about to see are intended to provide details of an officer-involved shooting which occurred on the 24th of June, 2021 at about 4:27 a.m. on Highway 99 at the Houghton Road off-ramp. An investigation into the use of force is being conducted to determine whether the actions of the officers were in compliance with law and department policy. At the conclusion of the criminal investigation, all of the details will be released to the Kern County District Attorney for independent review. Bakersfield police officers are equipped with body-worn cameras. The cameras do not capture everything the officers saw or experienced and do not encompass the entirety of the investigation, which includes witness interviews, forensic processing, and administrative review. The footage is being released to the community in an effort to provide transparency. Conclusions about the officers' actions with regard to law and policy will not be made until all facts are known and the investigation is complete. This video may contain strong language and graphic images, which may be disturbing to some people. Viewer discretion is advised. On Saturday, June 24th at 4:21 a.m., a Bakersfield Police Department patrol unit with 2 officers was patrolling the area of Fremont Street and Bradley Avenue due to the large number of auto thefts and catalytic converter thefts in the area. The officers observed a red Chevrolet Avalanche parked in the roadway in front of a residence, facing the wrong direction into oncoming traffic. Officers attempted to conduct an investigatory and vehicle code violation stop on the vehicle. However, it failed to yield. For approximately 6 minutes, the 2 police officers were in pursuit of the red Chevrolet Avalanche, which was occupied by 3 adult males. Both officers are equipped with body cameras. The body camera footage begins as officers are in pursuit of the vehicle. The first body camera footage is from a witness officer.
This turn, he might try to go in front of that truck right now. Okay, hit it, take it.
We're actually now on Houghton Road.
Oh,
Right,
Landing.
north of Houghton Road and 99.
Hands! Bakersfield police! Bakersfield police, they're running on the freeway. Nine nine eight. Vehicle still needs to be cleared.
The vehicle still needs to be cleared. Power 2 copy.
We got one.
Hey, right here. We gotta clear it. Bakersfield police!
Down the roadway after the shotgun.
Hey, he's on the freeway. I'm here. We haven't cleared this.
Where's he at?
He's on the freeway right there.
The second body camera footage is from the sole officer that discharged his firearm. The officer immediately observed that the suspect he began chasing was armed with a shotgun. However, you aren't able to view the suspect in the limited range and field of view of the body camera until later. The officer-involved shooting took place when the officer perceived that the suspect, armed with a shotgun, was turning towards him.
Slow down.
Okay, hit it, take it.
We're actually now on Houghton Road. Stand by if we're gonna go east or westbound.
Oh,
2T down on right,
landing.
north of Houghton Road and 99.
2T.
I got one running with a backpack going southbound. Hey, I'm gonna shoot you, motherfucker! Hey, listen! 998. Let me see your fucking hands! Let me see your hands!
Vehicle still needs to be cleared.
Medical aid was requested immediately and officers rendered CPR and first aid to the suspect. who succumbed to his injuries. A loaded shotgun was recovered, which the suspect was carrying when the officer discharged his firearm. 2 additional loaded handguns were located in the suspect's backpack. Two other adult males that fled from the suspect vehicle after it collided with a tree were apprehended with no incident in the area and no one else was injured. They were arrested for charges associated with catalytic converter theft after stolen property was located in the suspect vehicle. This is an ongoing investigation. Conclusions about the involved officers' actions with regard to law and policy will not be made until all facts are known and the investigation is complete. The Bakersfield Police Department's use of force policy, including deadly force policy, is available to the public at www.bakersfieldpd.us. All arrestees are presumed innocent until found guilty in a court of law.
All right, let's get back into it.
The information at about 4:27 a.m. on Highway 99 will be released to the Kern County dispatchers are equipped with body-worn cameras and do not intend to provide training. This day, 21 a.m., a Bakersfield Police Department patrol unit with 2 officers was patrolling the area of thefts in the area. The officers observed a red Chevrolet Avalanche parked on the roadway in front of them and attempted to conduct an investigatory and vehicle code violation stop on the vehicle. However, it failed to yield. For approximately 6
So this is what they did to initially draw the attention of the police is very minor. It's just parked in the roadway in front of a residence, but facing the wrong direction of oncoming traffic. Very, very minor traffic offense. Definitely not an end of the world kind of thing, right? What disturbs me is some places in the U.S. where not only do they have no pursuit policies, but here within the last month or two, there was a town that they were either looking to pass the laws or they did pass the law to prevent the police from stopping vehicles for minor traffic things, like something like this, or like a tail light out, or a license plate illuminator being out. And that's disturbing to me, because I could see that becoming a thing within other areas. So it was Minneapolis that did this, and I just had to do a quick little search for it. And of course, when I go to the Washington Post, they want me to pay to read the article. Not happening. But yeah, so August 13th, 2021, a memo sent to officers within the Minneapolis Police Department states that authorities will begin to scale back on specific traffic stops. He stated traffic stops relating to expired tabs, items dangling from mirrors, and not having a working license plate light would cease. In addition, the police chief said that the city attorney's office will stop prosecuting tickets for driving after license suspension when the only basis for the suspension was a failure to pay fines or fees, and there was no accident or other egregious driving behavior that would impact public safety. So that bullshit is liberal-minded thinking, and that kind of shit can spread like wildfire. And if that kind of bullshit made it to this area and they were following those rules, then these people never would have been caught. They never would have been taken off the street. And that is disturbing to me, because these laws, these policies and procedures that are put in place to cater to the criminals so that no one gets fucking offended, is making the public is making things dangerous for the public, is putting the public at risk. When criminals can, these criminals, these fucking miscreants, can move around with immunity and commit little crimes and get away with it, that just emboldens them to go commit more crimes. It's bad enough that our law enforcement is being attacked. It's even worse when our law enforcement is having their own handcuffs put on them and they're unable to do their damn jobs. If that bullshit policy was in effect here, then these guys would have never been approached
3 adult
for
males.
parking the wrong way in the street. And they're bad guys. Like they're doing, like, okay, you know how many times people have been caught for low level shit, like a license plate not being properly illuminated, no turn signal, a brake light out, like basic shit can lead to big things, right? So Timothy McVeigh, the guy who bombed the federal building, killed a bunch of people. You know how he got stopped? A basic traffic stop. A simple little traffic stop for something not end of the world. A tiny little thing. A registration tag. You know what? A registration tag, someone could have stole it. Whatever. You know, I mean, multiple days of driving down the road could rattle the screws out and the thing could fall off. You know, it's not an end of the world thing, but just a registration tag missing. That was the basic stop for Timothy McVeigh. And that led to him being arrested. And then when he was arrested that day for that, that officer didn't know he was involved in the bombing. He had no clue. But while he was detained, things got connected and they figured out he was the bomber. What would he have done, or what could he have done, if he had not been caught for that simple traffic violation? Could he have gone on and bombed another place? Could he have gone on and performed an active shooter type of thing? Could he have just completely disappeared off the grid and gone years without being detected and become the next Unabomber and send bombs to different places? Who knows? Who knows what he could have done if he hadn't been stopped for that minor traffic violation? Same with Ted Bundy. Ted Bundy was stopped for minor traffic shit, and you know what would have happened? Which he escaped once. What would have happened if this last time around that he had been caught, that got him, you know, put in the chair? What if he wouldn't have been caught for that? He could have continued on and killed more girls. So this notion, this idea that you know, so that we don't disenfranchise someone or you know, marginalize people based off, you know, our expired registration, blah 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 blah. Let's just not do basic work. Let's not pull people over for little things. That is fucking stupid. And I hate that. Like, I hate the fact that that mindset exists and is actually taking place in some places. If that had been in place here, these dudes would have continued to do what they were doing. They're armed. They had guns. What if a homeowner, someone renting an apartment, whatever, they're in their driveway, they're home, they hear noises, they go outside to investigate and come up on these people and say, "Hey, what are you doing?" Or whatever. And then one of them pulls a gun and shoots them. When criminals are allowed to go on and on and on with the bullshit and not get checked, it leads to bad things. It's like a snowball rolling down the hill. It just gets bigger and bigger. I know, a bit of a rant. Sometimes I'm just guilty of ranting. But it gets under my nerves. And I know that has, what I just talked about has nothing to do with this video. You know, there is no stupid rules or laws in effect about stopping them. But, I mean, you get the idea of what I'm talking about, though. Anyway, getting into it. So they chase these dudes. These dudes, you know, pieces of shit. They decide not to stop and crash out. The officers dismount and pursue. So this is where low light equipment comes into play and is very, very important. So we see the officer running. It appears as though the only light that he has on right now is his weapon-mounted light. No problem with that. I don't think that he needs to have a utility light in his hand in this moment. He has picked up this guy with his weapon-mounted light, and now he's running. One could argue that it's not safe for him to be running through a field, pointing his gun at the guy, using the weapon-mounted light as a flashlight to keep a visual on him. Some would argue that. I wouldn't agree with that. I think it's perfectly fine for him to be illuminating this target while he's running with his gun in his hand. The alternative is for him to have his gun holstered and his utility light out and his utility light pointed at the guy. Now, if we're going with that one, whenever he comes to a stop, well, what does that officer do with his utility light? You certainly don't want to keep the utility light in your hand and then try to marry both hands together for a two-handed firing grip and then that utility light be in the way. You need to jettison those kind of things out of your hand so that they no longer become an issue. Can you take the time to put it back in his pouch? Maybe, but most likely not. So this is where I think that it's perfectly acceptable for him to be utilizing his weapon-mounted light the way he's utilizing it. And this happens very quick. He gets up on him and this dude turns around with a shotgun. So if he would have had his gun holstered and using a utility light and then got up here with this guy spinning around with a shotgun, I don't think he would have had enough time to unholster and get rounds on target before this dude could have blasted him with a shotgun. It's perfectly acceptable, I think. Now, he fires about 9 times, and while he's firing, you can hear it's like a think kind of noise. It's like his bullet possibly hit one of these cars as it was going by. Or a bullet hit the ground. Or it could have hit the shotgun. Don't know, but one of those bullets hit something hard and made a noise. I don't know what he hit, but I don't think that that bullet that made that loud noise hit soft skin. Now he's in a very unique spot, right? He is in the middle of a freaking highway here. He's dropped his target His target had a shotgun.
Hey! Hey, let's see! 998, 998. Let me see your fucking hands! Let me see your hands!
Shotgun right there. This dude's in the middle of the road. Not directly in the middle of it, but he is in a lane right here.
998, 998. Let me see your fucking...
We don't get to see fully
Let me see your hands!
what he does after this.
Who succumbed to officer.
It looked like he was making an approach to him, possibly. I personally would not have gone into the roadway unless there were actual emergency vehicles parked in the roadway to block traffic. It's too much of a risk to step your ass out there in that lane and then get hit by a car. If it meant that I had to stand off to the side of the road and keep the gun pointed at him and just keep him illuminated, and then a car hit him while waiting for, an apparatus of some sort to come block traffic or multiple people to get there to kind of stand near the roadway and flash flashlights at oncoming vehicle, then so be it. If another car were to hit him, oh fucking well. You brought this upon yourself kind of deal. It's not my fault you got hit by a car because you wanted to go play in the middle of the road. But I would not make the approach to him while he's in the middle of this roadway that has no emergency vehicles warning other traffic. It's just too risky. My course of action would have been to stand back on the shoulder, keep the weapon pointed at him, issue verbal commands, and wait for additional people to get there. And preferably wait for an emergency vehicle to block that lane. That way you can safely enter the roadway and drag him to the shoulder, or just go ahead and start messing with him right there in that lane. Certainly would not walk out there without any type of warning power blocking that lane. Vehicles versus pedestrians can be extremely devastating. Very, very devastating, and in a lot of cases non-survivable.
998. Let me see your fucking hands! Let me see your hands!
Still needs to be cleared.
Medical aid was requested immediately, and officers rendered CPR and first aid to the suspect, who succumbed to his injuries.
And if you know what, you got to think about scene safety, right? So if it's not safe for you to be there to render aid, like you can't just kneel out here in the middle of this lane and start performing CPR and hope that a car doesn't hit you. Yeah, maybe stepping out there and grabbing them and dragging them to the shoulder could be an option, but I wouldn't even consider that an option until that lane is blocked by emergency vehicles or there's enough people there shining flashlights at oncoming vehicles and directing them out of that lane. Just wouldn't risk it. If he happens to bleed out in that time frame, then so be it. If he happens to get hit by a car, so be it. Not my concern. So here is his shotgun with a little bandana around it. And I don't really fully know why these assholes do this. I mean, I can only assume they do it to keep the fingerprints off. I mean, I've seen people wrap bandanas around the grip of a pistol before. Some of it is trinket kind of bullshit, maybe. I just don't understand the thinking process behind wrapping the bandana around it. I really don't get it. So the pistol with the crappy attachment on the bottom. Don't know what manufacturer this is. Definitely not a Surefire or Streamlight brand. Some cheap ass light brand. Most likely a laser of some sort, because they are all fascinated with lasers, or what they call beams. This other gun here happens to have a red dot sight on it, which is interesting. The red dot pistols are becoming more popular. So it would make sense that since these things are becoming more popular, the criminals would also come into contact with these when they steal them out of cars. But don't know the history on these guns. This one appears to be a quote unquote ghost gun. This one appears to be a ghost gun. So it's possible that he made this one, or he had someone made it, or a regular gun guy made it and then he stole it. Don't know. If he is a convicted felon, which I can't remember from the slides if it mentioned anything like that, he's obviously not going to be able to go into a gun store and buy any of these things. So how's he get them? Well, most criminals steal shit, and so either A, he stole them himself, or B, someone else stole them and he bought them from them. And of course, the possibility of a family member or friend who does not have a felony conviction could have gone into a gun store and bought the things and then given them to them, a straw purchase, which should be fully prosecuted if they can prove that. Who knows what he had loaded into the shotgun? It could have been birdshot pellet, and it still would have been extremely dangerous if pointed at the officer's head. But I kind of doubt he had anything super serious in this thing. A lot of times with pistols, it's full metal jacket stuff you'll find. If you see them with guns that have jacketed hollow points or anything like that in there, that's probably what was stolen with the gun. It's probably in the magazine when they stole it. These guys don't know much about ballistics and stuff like that. I would say there's probably a pretty good high chance that this laser that's attached to the gun probably isn't even zeroed. I've talked to a couple people before, criminals, felons, and ask them questions, about the laser beams and everything. Ask them, what they had, and then ask them, how they zeroed it, and they just looked at me like they had no idea what I was talking about. And when I described zeroing to them, like turning the little dial on there to move the laser, they were completely lost on what I was talking about. They had no idea that you had to zero these fucking things. And so they're completely stupid when it comes to this kind of stuff. And but they're fascinated with the laser beams, but they just don't really fully understand how they work, and they don't really know about ammunition. So whatever's in the gun is what they'll get. If they're actually buying ammo themselves, they probably just find the cheapest thing. There may be some who understand that jacketed hollow points better than full metal jacket, what have you. But a lot of them, they don't know. They have no idea. They don't even, a lot of times, know their own ass from a hole in the ground. But even when they choose the cheapest, crappiest ammo, it can still kill. It will still work. Even the ones who rock high points, a piece of shit high point, those can still kill, even though it's a junk. It's a piece of crap. But a lot of the guns that are used in street crimes are stolen from law-abiding people, and a lot of times it's from a car, an unlocked car, and so these criminals will go car hopping at night, and then they don't give a shit where your car is. Your car can be all the way in your driveway, parked behind your house, and these guys will still walk down your driveway to behind your house and check your car and see if it's unlocked. If it's unlocked, they're going inside. So a lot of guns are stolen this way just by simple car hopping. People will keep their gun in the center console, and the center console doesn't even have a lock on it. And so these criminals will go in, open the car door, and start rummaging around and find stuff that's easy for them to reach and grab and get a hold of. And if the gun's in that center console, when they open it, boom, they got a gun. Or people will put it in the glove box, but they will not lock the glove box. Or they could be in a car where the glove box doesn't even have a lock on it. And if you have a glove box and it has a lock on it and you have to leave your car in the gun, you can't, or leave your car in the gun, leave your gun in the car, you can't take it with you, then I implore you to lock that glove box. It might not be the greatest lock in the world, but it's going to slow them down and potentially discourage them from putting any more attention to that glove box and trying to mess around in it, and just instead grab your GPS and your dashboard and run off with it, or grab the loose change in the cup holders and take off with that, or take off with your purse or your bag that was in the back seat or in the front seat, or whatever. They're going to grab what's easy to get. That glove box, they might try to pry on it for a little bit, but they're not going to spend too much time messing around with anything that could keep them there longer and increase their chances of being caught. The other way that they steal the guns is from homes. So, if you leave your home and you go to work, you're at work for 8, 10, 12, 16 hours out of the day, or you're gone for that kind of time period, and your gun is in your nightstand, well, your back door, your front door can be kicked in pretty easy, and your nightstand don't have a lock on it, so they can just open the nightstand and take your gun. Sock drawer, same thing, whatever. Coffee table, doesn't matter. They'll open it, easy to take. So if your gun is not on you or within arm's reach, then that gun should be made either inaccessible or inoperable. Inaccessible means it's in a locked container. Inoperable means you got a trigger lock on it, or a cable lock going through the magazine well, out the ejection port, or through one of the cylinders in a revolver, something like that. That way, either A, they just can't get a hold of it, or B, if they do manage to get their hands on it, they can't readily use it. They're going to have to do something to get that lock off. And that's what we have to do, because the more and more that these criminals get a hold of these guns and they use them in street crimes, then that's just more ammo that the anti-gun crowd can use against us in enacting more gun control laws and just banning certain guns altogether, or putting a lot more restrictions on types of guns and stuff out there. So if you're careless in how you store your firearms, you need to change your ways, because you're hurting yourself and you're hurting the rest of us when you do that shit. That's about it. If you like what you hear and see, go ahead and give me a like and a share. If you have not already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more Monday quarterback videos. Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense, thank you for watching.